There we go. Okay, I think I'm live on both right now. So I have YouTube on. There we go. I'm live on both. Okay, so I just want to get you guys' feedback, your responses. For those who are in track and field, who are in football, who are in multiple sports, and there's overlapping of the sports itself. Just want to kind of get your feedback, how it affects you personally, what do you feel about it, kind of get your understanding. So as you guys go from there, let me see if I can put this question up. So put, how do you guys feel? Oh. I'll put 2020. I'm trying to type with my one finger. I think that's good. How do you pin that? No? Okay, so I guess until people add in and start speaking, I guess I'll say my perception on it is I obviously feel like safety-wise, when it comes to pretty much everything, it fits, you know, but it's the part that's confusing is high-risk sports such as football and some other ones are still allowed to play, which kind of just concerns, even though it's a little bit later. And Lily, yeah, you're making a great point. You know, nothing is guaranteed. We're still kind of basing this off of the numbers that are basically what's happening, you know. So hopefully, just how I've been this whole time is really optimistic and hoping that everything kind of starts to move in a forward progression when we get a lot of things done. That'll be great. But, you know, what I really feel is that, you know, there's a lot going on when it comes to how Orange County has decided to go into class with no restrictions, you know, no face mask being guaranteed. So I feel if we're going to go with that, and let's say that is the best way, right? Then it's, why not keep that continued throughout the whole process with all the sports and things like that. You know, I do understand that there are some views out there, but it's just so confusing. You know, there's so many layers to it. So if you want to go live with me and chime in, that'd be great. Lily, if you feel that you have something to say or some viewpoints, let me know, and we can have that conversation. So, okay, so what I have so far on this is, let's see. So there's two sports seasons, the fall and the spring. And basically cross country, boys and girls, field hockey, football, gymnastics, cheer, boys and girls volleyball, and boys and girls water polo are considered fall sports. And with that being said, the start dates for those are so the setup of the start dates are, you can have your first practice, say for example, cross country. The start date of practice is January 29th, so the end of January, and then they'll have their base conditioning process, and then they start season. They can start season as early, I might be reading this wrong. First contest is Saturday, December 26th. And it says SOP date, I'm assuming start of practice is what it means. And if I'm wrong, let me know so I can get a better understanding. SOP stands for start of practice is January. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so yeah, I'm confused as you can see. So the SOP date is January 29th. And then you have the last league contest is March 4th. So basically they're saying, coaches, you guys can, I'm assuming, start training in December. And then you can do all the meets you want. And then once we get to March 4th, that's when we want you guys to stop your track meet or your season schedule so we can start the playoff rounds. And the playoff rounds are the prelims, because the prelims are held on March 12th and 13th. So CIF has already set their dates, and now they're saying high schools, you can set your dates after or before that and go from there. So I think it's a good start by having these dates kind of set, so now coaches can start planning the schedule. And then when it comes to track and field, which is most of us are track and field athletes, the actual sport is still going to be spring. And then we have boys and girls. So the first contest date says March 20th. However, the SOP date is April 24th. So I'm still kind of confused on that topic. So any guys who are chiming in or adding in, great. Feel free to comment, write whatever you need to write, and I'll try to get those answers to you guys. I do know that the CIF commissioner is live right now also. So that's going to be something I'll probably end up rewatching. But I already scheduled this, so I wanted to kind of stick to it. So the last league contest is Tuesday, May 11th, which is pretty consistent with what we've already had, which is a good thing for track and field. And then we're looking at state championships will be held June 10th through 12th. So it's pretty consistent. I do see some conflicts, obviously, when it comes to graduation for the seniors. Check that. That's the date for wrestling. Track and field is June 25th through 26th. And then CIF will start in June 5th. So the month of June will be our championship season, which traditionally it's a month later. So we're essentially taking our season later. I did realize that they're going to allow athletes to do club sports during that time. I'm not sure how that's going to work yet, because the club season actually goes through June, and I believe nationals is at the end of June. So that's going to be something to kind of play around with. But what I do see as a direct conflict is how sports lead into other ones. So for example, most football players will go in football, then they'll have time to transition and then go into their other sports, if basketball if needed, and then go into track. There's a lot of athletes on the boys' side that do basketball and track. So when it comes to the spring sports, you have baseball, which most baseball players just do baseball. They don't do track. It's usually in the same sport already. But where there is some conflict is boys and girls basketball happening the same time as track and field. What that's going to do is basketball players now don't have the freedom to do all three sports, as in football, basketball, and track. And that's, excuse me, that's what I did during high school as well. So the issue I think there is going to be an athlete now has to choose. So the stress is going to be on the coaches. The coaches are now going to have football players who are finishing up their season at the latest or extreme case in April. And they go from April bowl game championship season into track, even though March is when it actually starts. But you're going to be dinged up. You're going to be sore, especially if you go all the way through that type of season. It's a lot. It's a lot on your body. So all those, I think this year, boys track and field is going to take a huge hit because on Hey, Divya. Um, what I would say is basketball, boys and girls take a huge hit. And obviously you have your jumpers who are typically basketball players. Football players are going to be coming out dinged up. So we're going to see a huge drop in track and field, and the programs that have athletes who are kind of dialed in, such as like my specific program, is majority of them are already full-time track and field athletes. So they're going to have a huge advantage when it comes to training, when it comes to march out the season. However, I want to get you guys' feedback. How has this decision on sports and the calendar being pushed back affected you? What are your first responses and things like that? I know a lot of athletes, when it comes to football, have it already set up. Maybe they've already signed or signed with the school, and they were going to play football season in the fall, and then once winter season of school is over, they were going to move into their college and start college early in the spring. This happens a lot within college football, when they get a head start and they start training, doing spring training with the actual college. Well, if you have athletes that don't start until the late winter, early spring, then you have athletes that aren't going to be competing. So now we have some of these top athletes, 4 and 5 star talents, that are not going to be able to compete because they're getting ready for, for a lot of that. And so Premier Athletics, LaRon is talking about, it's a negative effect in the community college. Yeah, I think so too. Huge, because, I feel that most of the community college student athletes are doing so many more things, and sports is a huge mental release. It's a stress release. It's a way to be a part of a group and community, especially when you're an athlete. That's all you know is athlete. You don't know any other lifestyle. So I think that's going to be a huge challenge. So my question for you, Coach LaRon, is, how does that affect you as a coach now that the schedule has been pushed back? And also college athletes who are basketball players and also do track, how does that affect you? So kind of let me know what you guys are thinking. And here on YouTube, let's see, here on YouTube, we have Not Good. Tweety Bird is saying, not good for mental health of the athletes, which I think is true. And recruiting is going to be kind of like broken down and slowed down, which is also true. I mean, the coaches have less time to be able to evaluate athletes. And I don't even know right now if schools are going to be able to continue training in the off season. I do know that the club sports sector will be able to continue their stuff, but when it comes to the high school sector, I don't know if that's going to be a part. So these are things that I'm still learning. And if you have those answers, please let me know. When it comes to the mental side of it, it sucks because obviously football players were geared up, ready to compete, and now they're being pushed back. You have all the fall sports which are being pushed back, and it's like, well, how do you adjust? Well, to me, I'm always seeing it from the bright side, and it's looking at, well, how about I get to continue my base training? How about I get to continue developing? The good thing about it essentially is it's not that it's being canceled, it's just being pushed back. But then just how Lily said, it's being pushed back to be reevaluated then to see what happens. So what I suggest for athletes who this affects directly is, yes, you're going to have to literally be specific to monitoring your mental health and doing things that can keep you mentally balanced. So back onto the comments we have here on Instagram. It's an extreme negative effect on our community college student athletes. Okay, so yeah, coaching online, it's tough. I mean, especially if you don't have the athletes around you to train specifically. So And then, so I'm assuming the junior college has, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're saying that they have canceled their state championship meet. And then Divya, so Divya's talking about she's training on her technique, trying to get her hitch kick down. Okay, so this is, okay, Coach Saran, so I see that it's a yes where they did cancel it. I was asked this question, and I told him I would do a response on YouTube with the video. But basically, he asked when he should be on the runway, what his calendar should look like. The specific question, I think, is along that line. Let me just find it so I don't have it incorrect. Yeah, I believe so. I can't find it on here. Oh, here it is, Jeff. Okay, so he said he's a long and triple jumper, just wondering if it's too early to start introducing technical work on the runway during the off season. And when should you introduce the actual technical training? Well, for me, I'm 100% on base training. The base training, even for athletes who come out of basketball in the track and they start track a day that track starts, even though track meets are actually going on, I still have them do the base training. They don't even compete if their base training isn't completed the 4-week cycle. So I'm a big fan on that. So what happened was we ended up having our track season cut short, obviously last season. And then we go forward, and athletes are so eager to compete, they jumped into doing the technical work, which means that they're doing technical work longer. And if you keep doing technical work longer or introduce it too early, now you're going to have the wear and tear on those muscles, joints. And going into season, if you've just been jumping the whole time, it's going to be a huge negative towards your success, because you're not getting stronger within the secondary muscles that help you move. You're getting stronger in the primary muscles. So I would suggest that you guys stay patient and just elongate your base, elongate the process of, you know, your core training. If you've had issues with, you know, things like your hips being tight or your hip girdle not having a range of motion you need, it's important to kind of keep that going and developing, then start everything a little bit later on. I'm waiting to see when winter California track will be ready to go. I'm not sure yet, but once we have those dates set, that might be really helpful. So yeah, so LaRon's talking about that the state championship is actually canceled. So man, that's tough, because obviously athletes that are in junior college are really trying to get to the next level as soon as possible. And they need that type of exposure, and not having those big meets are going to be tough. I really think that the club circuit now should open up and try to expand where we're actually able to get more things done. Because if we can't practice earlier for any reason, then all sports are being hurt, and it'll be really tough for athletes to develop, especially when track and field is a sport where it's us, like our body is the actual thing we use in our sport. So if we're not at our tip-top shape, it's going to be a huge issue. So pretty good. So what else do we have? I got a few people that are in the chat, the video for YouTube. So for me, what I feel is it's fair in the sense that we pushed back a lot of the sports to allow the officials to figure things out, and to make sure that everyone's going to be safe. So here's an example. So Gabby's on here. Gabby, would you like to join us and talk about how this has affected you? I noticed you guys did the AAU championship. How was that, and what's shifted in your training within the club? So that'd be a question I have for you. But in the meantime, yeah, Tweety Bird on YouTube just said the same thing with, gyms are not open for conditioning. There's a lot of space that isn't open, a lot of things. But what I really want to introduce to everybody is, before we had all this technology of training, people just trained to get better, and they used their body weight, they used things around them. So I mean, there's fields, I'm assuming once school opens up, the tracks or the space will be available to use. But getting back to the basics of using your body weight will be a huge piece, towards your training and success. So lost my train of thought, forgot where I was going. I'm just rambling now. I'm hoping somebody just hops in and says and has something to say. Coach Saran, if you have something to let me know, or your viewpoint of how your club will operate, that would be pretty cool. So let me know things about that. And for those who are on YouTube, if you want to talk to me directly, you can always just switch over to my Instagram and FaceTime with me. So yeah, let's see what else we got on here that may be of a conflict. Okay, let's see. Comments are good. Let me go back to the CIF post. Patrick, what's going on? Okay, so the part that I think is going to be pretty shifty is when it comes to boys and girls volleyball both being in the actual the fall part of sports, because traditionally girls volleyball is in the beginning, then in the fall. I think boys volleyball is in the spring, which might mean that we might get some boys that come out to track and field in the spring because they would like to try it and they haven't been able to before. So I think that might be a good little bonus. Okay, so Gabby is saying it was different to be at a meet and have to wear a mask. Wait, while there were different, sorry, I got my shirts in the way. While being there definitely made warming up a little more tough. That's true. That's true. My team didn't go. I just felt that we weren't ready. We hadn't been on the runway. But I mean, yeah, and you guys made that trip from Washington. So it's a flight, it's the hotel, it's a lot going on in that aspect. But I see you guys did pretty well. I know James broke 50 feet. I didn't see all the results yet. However, I think it was good. And I really feel that if anyone here hears this, that track and field, golf, a lot of these low risk sports, I think need to be kind of opened up sooner. Golf, etc. Let me go ahead and switch this over. I'm answering some questions on IG as well, or YouTube. But yeah, I feel like those sports need to be pushed up sooner, and we should have a lot more freedom. So I think it'd be nice if we had more time for the high school season, or like I said before, if club, track and field, or USATF were to introduce a more open schedule to allow more to come. But again, back to the basics of as long as everything's done in a safe fashion, where we're not putting anyone at risk, whether it be the coaches, whether it be the athletes, or the families there to spectate and watch their athlete, go. So I hope that is something that kind of continues staying forward. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna just see if he'll go live with me. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna try to go live with Coach LaRon, but he might be busy doing stuff. So we have a coaches meeting tonight at 7 with the modern day staff. So I might get a lot more information from there. Okay, he's not responding. Okay, so Draft Guy, what if you're still part of the live? What has been your experiences? How do you feel about it? Are you also in multiple sports? So I guess those that are in this chat, like how many people are in multiple sports, and do the sports now overlap because of what's happening? And do you guys agree? So North County Pole Vault, if you guys are in, especially Anthony, let me know, and Titan, let me know what your initial response is, especially when it comes to club with North County Pole Vault Club. Let me know what changed, or what is going to change for you guys this season, and how are you going to adjust your overall schedule and training regimen. So if you hear me, let me know. Okay, Gabby. Okay, good question, Gabby. What have I done to help implement, what have I implemented in my practices to help basically accommodate what's going on? Well, for when it comes to my club team, we've obviously had to move locations. We typically train at Mater Dei, but they're handling them first, which is how you should do it. And then once everything is safe and in order, then they'll start bringing out the groups that rent or utilize the facilities. So I'm just waiting on that next part to happen. But what I have done is I moved us and I split the groups up. So we're in the groups of 10. And so I have a different sessions. So my days are a lot longer now when it comes to practice scheduling. I think I have 3 groups now. And those 3 groups are doing, similar base training work. So what I am doing is making sure that I don't bring too much too fast. It's easy to start wanting to do speed work and a lot of the jumping drills now because we're all excited and we're yearning for that. But it's like, no, you need to remember, we still got to take our time and make sure that we are developing everything that needs to develop. And I see it as, when you look at the Olympic calendar year or the calendar's cycle, it's, you have 4 years when you want to be at the Olympics, then you have the World Championships, you have the dead year, things like that. And so the focus of it is, when you look at it on the macro scale, is 1 year you're focusing on a few things, the next year you're working on the next few things, then you apply those things you've learned and execute and then perfect them for the Olympic year. So when it comes to our schedule, what I've implemented is making sure that we're looking at the bigger scale of, I need them to be ready on late June. So now that we have established the end of June is when we're going to have our state championship, it's pushing my personal calendar back for them and making sure that we just elongate the base training. It's boring, it's tedious. However, my goal is to get them to wherever their goals are. If they say they want to compete in college, well then I need to make sure that I take care of their body and keep them safe throughout the season and going from there. And if they do multiple sports, and I have to make sure that they're understanding how to balance out their schedule and how to keep their body healthy and how to keep the body rested throughout the whole season. You know, and so when it comes to me personally, you didn't ask this question, but I'll answer it if it's a personal thing, is, you know, I've changed my eating habits. I've made sure that I have been consuming foods that are a benefit to my cells and organs. It looks like I'm vegan. However, like I'm not, but it's like 98% of the foods that I eat are that. And I just make sure that I've allocated more time towards my mental health, a lot more reading, a lot more understanding. You guys see I haven't been posting as much on social media because I just been trying to be as helpful towards my physical body, so then when I am coaching and leading others, that I'm coaching and leading others from a place of wholeness, if that connects. So, you know, that's a huge part of what's going on. And then what I've also added in for my athletes is a conversation of what's going on, how do you feel? You know, obviously a lot is going on when it comes to just our the COVID, when it comes to just equality, all those things. So what I feel is just opening up the conversation is great, and then that really helps. So this season is personal. I bet, you know, Titan, you're over at Riverside, and I assume that the focus is to be your best, you know, and the coaches want you to be your best, and they want you to enjoy. And obviously for all of us, we're in a space of how do we continue to move forward when we have, you know, gyms closed, when, you know, our social life has been affected, and it helps you understand what really is important. So continue, for you guys who are listening, continue writing your goals that you have for your personal self, and understand that while things are going on, you can always still move forward in a personal, on your personal growth and development, things like that. So long-winded answer, Gabby, but hopefully that kind of helped. I see coaches are starting to join in. What I would like from you guys is any type of like feedback, what's going on, how it changed. I know a lot of coaches have superstar athletes, and their superstar athlete happens to be a football player. Well, now if you have a superstar athlete, a football player, and track and field is literally like right after the very next season after, how are you guys going to change your training methods, you know, for the athletes who are basketball players, you know, coaches, how are you going to deal with that now that you have a basketball player who's in season now that you just lost? Maybe it's a high jumper that is expected to go to state. Well, that athlete is gone now because they're in basketball, or they have to decide between basketball and track. How is that going to look, and how does that affect your team, and so on? So let me know your thoughts. And I have a few athletes that are from out of the US and here would like to hear your feedback and what's going on with you guys. So, you know, like, where's he at? Patrick, if you are here, if you are still here, let me know what has been a few things that you have been dealing with. YouTube, Nero Peterson, he says, greetings from the Caribbean. Greetings back from Southern California. Welcome, and thanks for being a part of this. I'm only going to be on for another probably 15 minutes because I feel like I'm just rambling. But let me know what you guys feel, and we'll keep having that conversation. Let me see if I can answer some questions that are on YouTube or Instagram right now. Okay, so one question is from Chris Aguilar. Since cross country and track and field are close by each other, what should I do more of since I'm a 400-meter sprinter? Um, well, I'm assuming you're using cross country to build your base, and then you start introducing the speed work for the 400. Um, I would say if you are a cross country runner and that is your primary thing, I would say focus obviously on that. And then as you are doing the 400, all of your training for the 400 should be focused on building up your foot speed for cross country. So keeping your training focus on that and just use the track and field season as a way to um, kind of speed you up and speed up your tempo, right? So I'm gonna say hi to Dami real quick and Titan. Dami, if you're still here, I think she's not here anymore. So you can always speak up too. And then if you're a primary 400-meter runner, as in you do cross country for your base, what I would really say is think about which is the most important. If you need time to focus on the 400 and keep your speed up, cross country will build your base. It will build up your endurance. However, switching from cross country straight into the 400-meter sprint, your body's going to be a lot more tired. You're going to be a lot more fatigued, especially when you're doing your base training and your conditioning for cross country. It's a lot of mileage. And then trying to switch in from a lot of mileage to the 400 without much rest is going to break your body down pretty quick. So I would suggest is, what is your ultimate goal? Are you looking to move on to college for the 400 or cross country? If you're using, you're using cross country in order to get fast with the 400, what I would say is maybe this year you pause cross country and you do all the base training for track and field for the 400. That might be an option, but again, I don't want to take you away from a sport that you enjoy. However, you do want to make sure that you're doing things that are in the best interest for you, your family, your success moving forward, and also make sure that your body's remaining intact and staying healthy. What I really want to add in is make sure that we don't overdo it. We don't do too much earlier because we're excited that now we have these dates kind of set. So just being patient with everything that's going on. And then Jade, I already answered her question, but she asked a question of, so are we not allowed to practice at all before our first actual track meet? The answer is no, you are allowed to practice. However, it's broken down into each school. So they're going to be able to decide when practices start officially. I know for us, we actually have an off-season program. So we have a summer program, we have a summer program, we have a fall and winter program, and then we get into our season training. So along with that is I have my club team, and the club team practices. The club team isn't Mater Dei athletes, it's everyone outside of Mater Dei. So they built that base up. So when they start their high school season, they go off to their high school and do their thing there. So if the school doesn't allow the training, but the CDC and there are officials who make those decisions upon our safety say it's okay, then I would suggest this is the perfect time for you to look up your local club team area, maybe get a coach or a trainer to help you develop the base work and go from there. So being patient. So I think that's going to be a huge part of it. And Jade specifically is one of my athletes at Mater Dei. You will be covered. I will have you covered on the training and you'll be fine. And I'll make sure that you guys are all in a really good spot. And for those who don't work with me, but reach out to me, I will be as helpful as I can. Right now, again, on my YouTube, I'm putting a lot more videos up. I'm offering more free information for you guys to help you guys succeed. Okay. And then we have another question on here. It's kind of off topic. However, I'll go ahead and answer it. How do I work on my last phase in the triple jump? Well, the last phase is the transition from a bound for your step phase to a jump. One is deconstructing the triple jump, deconstructing it in the sense of just do your step to jump. That's going to help your last phase improve, because typically if you have bad form, athletes will mess up the hop. Mess up the hop, you're losing speed, losing power. Then because you lost your power and speed because of your poor technique in your hop, you have a poor step phase with less speed. If you have less speed in your step phase, your jump phase will never be good because there's no speed transitioning into it. But if you take away the hop and you just do the step to jump, you're going to realize you have a lot more speed. For my athletes who are technically savvy, doing a 10 to 14 step approach and doing a step to jump, it's crazy. Like, it's something that's really, really hard to do. And a lot of elite athletes do break down and deconstruct the actual jump itself. So I would say that would be one thing if you're on the runway. If you're not on the runway, what I would suggest is simply bounding. Just learn how to bound. Bound, 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 bound. Do 50 meters of bounding, give yourself 10 yards of running, and just bound. Try to get there. I'm assuming you're a guy. I'm not sure. No, Linda. Okay. For girls, I would say you want to try to get 50 yards of bounding completed in less than 20 bounds. For the guys, I want to say about between 16 to 17 bounds within that. And once you get that down, understanding how to maintain your speed, how to maintain your position, once you just add in the actual jump itself, you're in a real good spot. So it'll help you transition all those things. And then I have other advanced techniques such as, step to bungee, things like that. And that's going to be on my YouTube channel. So that is that question. And then Narrow, he says, no, you are not rambling at all. I love the idea of leading by example. Working on you and your health motivates athletes to be healthy. I totally agree with leading wholeheartedly is the best way. And thank you for that. I do. That's kind of how I feel. Like, even if you are one of the better athletes on your team, if you're that good, the athletes look up to you. And it's your job to represent not just yourself, but your program, the team you're on, the school you're with, in the best way possible. And challenge them. If you think they can do better, or you know that you can do better, let it be known and announce it. I'm working on myself. I'm working on being faster and stronger. Help me and guide me. And they're going to respect you so much more. It sucks being led by someone who doesn't care, or they're just naturally athletic and gifted. However, they don't help you improve. They just kind of, cut corners, and they're just good. Well, the problem is athletes who are just slightly less than when it comes to athletic ability, that they just need that much more training. If you don't see it because the athlete is not doing anything or being lazy, then it actually hurts you. So just being the example is probably the most important thing that I think towards success. Okay, good. Let's see. Any more questions, you guys? Any more understanding? So Narrow, for you exactly, specifically, how has COVID affected your guys' training in your season, and what's the goal moving forward? So that's gonna be a question for you. In the meantime, while we wait for that, for what I'm saying to feed into the YouTube, what I will say is, I got so much I want to say. In the meantime, basically, for those who have questions, this morning I had a question about which triple jump spike is better, Adidas or Nike. a lot of those videos I already have up, and I've answered them in a short video. So just going to my YouTube, going and using my search bar from the desktop is very beneficial. Type in whatever key phrases, could be triple jump, could be step phase, and there's going to be a huge amount of videos for you guys to kind of evaluate. And if you guys have any further questions from there, let me know. But what I've been doing each week is I have my training talk, track talk Tuesday, which is going to be aired tomorrow. The question about when to train, I'm going to post a video there. I'm going to do another Q&A later this week. So I'm going to be available for you guys. And one thing that you guys don't, you don't know what you don't need yet, and you'll realize you need it later on, is your awareness of the sport, being a student of the sport. So mental awareness is already one that we've kind of covered. Nutritional importance, like how to eat foods that actually benefit your body to perform better. Not just eating healthy, foods that actually help you get better is a huge thing that a lot of athletes kind of look over. That's something to really start doing research on. Understanding how the college system works, that's a huge piece. And just time management, that's another huge piece. And then also setting your goals, how to set goals specifically, not being realistic, setting goals that you feel that are what you want in your life, and then going from there. So that's going to be a huge piece. And I actually put together a course, a 6-week course that goes through each topic individually. It's called the Universal Athlete. Information on that course is going to be pushed out again soon. But the biggest part is, let me make sure. Okay, the biggest part. Oh wait, Okay, the biggest part with that is, already lost my train of thought. I feel like I get distracted so quickly. Is athletes don't know they need all these things. And for those who are watching this, I'm pretty sure you have a goal of being a Division I athlete or going pro. Well, going pro or being a Division I athlete isn't just based on your talent. It's literally being a Division I athlete physically, mentally, emotionally. It requires a certain level or certain type of person. And if you're not that type of person, you're not going to be a Division I athlete. You're not going to be a professional athlete. So many athletes literally have the numbers, the marks to be that. But then when they get there, they're just hit with this reality of, I'm not that type of person. I can't do these things. So Universal Athlete is something that it's on my website, KeinanBriggs.com, where you guys can kind of get that kind of going. So, all right, so I'll get to the questions on Instagram real quick after this. So I asked a question to Nero, and he says pretty much they had to get rid of the season, basically. Curtail our season. I don't know what curtail is. I'm assuming it's postponed, but let me not be ignorant on this. So reduce, okay. So they basically just modified their season. Thank you, Google. So they modified their season. He said that some of the high schoolers are working out on their own, jogging, etc., training. Some hurlers are using homemade hurdles to work on the technique. Hopefully the lighter restrictions will have that are being presented will not have serious. Okay, so basically hopefully what we have going on doesn't get worse for the season and affect our season that we have for later on. And yes, I think that's exactly it. We don't know what's going to happen still. We still don't know. However, we have to just be ready, be ready for whatever may come. And essentially, if you guys are doing sports and you're training and you're getting frustrated because you're not able to train the way you used to train, you got to really think about it. If you're outside training, you're staying healthy. That's going to go further for your life than just sports. So staying healthy, is the most important thing. So I would suggest to continue making homemade hurdles. I have homemade hurdles. I went to Home Depot, get some PVC pipe, cut them up, link them together, and you're all set. So keep that really simple and etc. So yeah, great feedback, Nero. I hope I'm saying your name right, Nero. And then Linda talked about what foods are beneficial for your body. To keep it as simple as possible, is our physical body is made up of cells, and the cells have a nucleus within it, and the cells need to be treated a certain way. The nucleus needs to be fed and treated a certain way. And you also have mitochondria in there. And the mitochondria is what takes the food, transmutes that food into energy so you can use to move around. And so when we eat, us humans, we eat, and we eat for taste. So, and I think that's a huge reason why our COVID rates are so high, because of the foods that we eat in America versus other countries. But with that being said, the foods we eat actually hinder our body. So our cells need not calories, they need vitamins and minerals. So foods that are very, very high in vitamins and minerals are foods like kale, spinach, broccoli, asparagus. When it comes to fats and proteins, you have salmon, you have any types of fish, you have what else has a lot of minerals and vitamins in it. Foods that are high in sulfur, such as mushrooms, and what else? Onions. These types of foods are what your cells need. And the cells are what your body is made up of. And if your body has cells that are not functioning correctly, then you don't have the body working in the correct manner. And when the body's not correct in the correct manner, it does things to showcase that it's not working correctly. And those things that ends up happening are your body doesn't cooperate the way that it needs to because it can't fire on all cylinders. Imagine a car engine and it's a V12. It's a 12 engine, a V12, right, or V8. And you get rid of one of the pistons and it doesn't work. That car doesn't have the horsepower of all 12 or 8 pistons. So when you are working on 8% of cells that aren't able to or aren't producing the right amount of stuff, then you're in a bad spot. So literally it comes down to first eating for your cells, making sure you're taking in those vitamins B, A, C, and K in more detail, and then eating the foods that you feel that are good for you after that. You know, so for those who have a sweet tooth, who love sugar and chips and all those things, I wouldn't say eat them, but if you have to because you're used to that, that's fine, eat them. But I would say is eat all the food your body needs first. Eat all those things early throughout the day. It's your salads, it's your, your foods that are high in those vitamins and minerals. And then from there, when that's done, then you can eat whatever it is that you want. And I think that's a good way to start with your eating habits and to switch things to be very beneficial for yourself. So again, that broken into detail is in my Universal Athlete course. That is 2 different courses or classes that are broken up into 2 days, and it really breaks down when you eat food, how does the body respond to it, and how can you get addicted to the levels of dopamine that is released within your body and endorphins. And that is another conversation, but that's what's going to be inside a Universal Athlete. And it's a huge part for you to wake up and to see how food's affecting your body, and how, drinking a Monster may not be the best thing to do before you run a 400 or long jump, because it's not affecting your body in the correct ways. So also, one thing I do want to add into is aspirin. A lot of you guys have shin splints, so you take aspirin. You eventually have 1 to 2 track meets in a week plus practice. Take aspirin to kind of mask the discomfort or pain within your shins. What happens on the extreme case is the aspirin has these active ingredients in it, and those active ingredients are known for actually ripping and burning holes into your stomach and having bleeding internally, and that causes a huge problem. So what I would say is make sure you're understanding if you're sore or you're hurt, you need to take care of your body and not try to hide them by taking these pain relievers, things like that. If you're hurt, be hurt, and then work on improving. So Jazz has asked, I'm curious, are you coaching, mentoring your athletes remotely? Do you have them submit videos? Are you watching them, watching live with them? So yes, currently my club team is still doing, we took a break obviously during the peak of everything, but we do train for those that are locally. My club team, we have, again, I talked about before, we have smaller groups. We not only have 6 feet distance, we have as much as 10 between each person because we have a whole field to work with and only 10 people. So I make sure that we follow those guidelines to make everyone safe. When it comes to athletes that I'm coaching overseas or whatever else, that's all done virtually. And I do have services that I offer for you guys to where if you want me to spend 20 minutes with you guys watching you practice and coaching you during the practice, I have those things to offer. So that will be in the 120-minute conversation. And I've had coaches call to get understanding and clarity on some things that I explain, or just kind of run their ideas past me. I've had parents call to say, you know, how do I balance out the things we're doing with sports? I also had athletes say, hey, you know, I want to jump train today. Can you watch me? And that's another, you know, 20-minute phone call conversation. So you guys can use it however you want. Or if it's you have 3 or 4 of your videos and you want me to break those videos down with you on the phone, just like this, I have you join into a Zoom call with me and we go through those things. So I have a lot of ways to help. And I've even had some athletes that just call and want to have a conversation about, this is where I'm at in life, you know, or how do I work on getting myself more exposure into college during this time? That's a huge part. And again, like everything that I'm saying, I've already created courses for, but I do have like a spinoff with me directly. And so the college exposure crash course is something that I teach you guys, one, how to identify which school you want to go to. So we're going to be ending this live in 1 minute, 2 minutes. But how to identify which type of schools you want to go to, which ones you qualify for, and then give you the reality of the percent of the athletes that you need, the type of story you have to live in order to go to these big name colleges. And then once you have that set, it's how to create a highlight tape for yourself that it fits what the coaches are looking for. And then how to converse with the actual coaches. And then if scholarship is opportunity for you, how to negotiate. And, you know, Anthony Victor was one of my recent athletes who he handled the whole process on his own. And he was able to get his scholarship kind of figured out and laid out on his own from my teaching. So that's a huge part. I think a lot of you guys can also do that. So the question here is, how do I pay or sign up for those? Is visit my website, KeinanBriggs.com. I'm gonna try, I won't type it, it just takes too long. But my first and last name, and you can go through email. Email me at info@KeinanBriggs.com. I can send you the links. But basically just my website, everything that I think you need is in there. And if not, let me know and I'll update the website. So for you guys who came to hang out, thank you. I appreciate you guys, you know, following, supporting. I'm trying to do my best with giving you guys the most information I can. That's simple for you guys to understand and to apply it. My main thing is a lot of coaches talk about what's wrong. I think the main thing is saying, here is the solution you guys can do to fix what's wrong. That being the difference. So I got 10 seconds left. You guys, thank you for being a part of this. Go to my YouTube, see the videos, and I will see you guys next time.